Welcome to Integrated Planning, where we take an integrated approach to growing and protecting your wealth. My name is Sophie Blais, and today we're going to be talking about the 6 key areas of financial planning. So the second thing to consider in financial planning is investment management. And I always like to share a story of my first investment experience. So I graduated from the U of S with a commerce degree, and I went up to Prince Albert for my first job. And I went to the bank just like most people do when they start investing. And given that I was young and I had a high risk tolerance, we'll talk about that a little later on, I was put in the precious metal fund. And that precious metal fund was supposed to do great things. Well, to make a short story long, or a long story short, I ended up with 0 at the end of 18 months in my precious metal fund. So my initial dive into investment management was not a very good one, but one that did put me on the path that I'm on today. And understanding the importance of proper investment management and the things that you need to look at when you're trying to invest. So the first piece is risk tolerance and objectives. So planning is all about understanding where you are today and knowing where you want to be in the future. And that's no different in any of these aspects that we're talking about today. So if we think about objectives, so your investment objectives, there are a whole bunch of different objectives that you might have. One might be saving to buy a home. The other one might be saving for retirement. Your investment objectives might be to put your children through school. It could be to fund a future purchase. Then the list goes on. And so understanding what your objectives are is really key to knowing what and how you should be invested. Because there are short-term investments, there's medium and long-term investments, and the worst thing that could happen is you end up in something that doesn't meet what your goals and objectives are. So that's important to take into consideration. The other thing is risk tolerance. And that's an interesting one because we all have a lot of tolerance for risk when things are going really well. And we have less tolerance for risk when things are not. Fear and greed are the 2 motivators that normally motivate people when they're making investment decisions, and a lot of other decisions as well. So we've had, if the markets are on a run, everybody wants to throw their money into the markets. When the markets are down, people don't want to be invested at all, and they want to take their money out, sit in cash, or sit on the sides. At the end, the reason why you work with a professional team is to take the emotion out of it. Your best opportunity to invest is at the lowest points in the market, and when you should be worried are at the highest points in the market, which is contrarian. And so making sure that you've got a disciplined approach, you're working with the team, will end up delivering the best results. So having great conversations with your investment advisors will ensure that the right objective is put in place for your goals. And having that coach, that gut check person that you can talk to is really key. I've had many discussions with clients who either want to pull themselves out of the market or who want to throw everything at a certain investment. And part of our goal as planners is to have really fulsome discussions about, what's there, where they want to be, how that's going to go, and, ultimately, what is the true risk tolerance of the client. And talking that through, we might all be happy with a 20% gain in our portfolios, but would we be equally as happy or okay with a 20% loss? And oftentimes the answer to that question is no. So those fulsome discussions, really important that they're had, and don't be embarrassed about mistakes that you've made in the past or thinking you might make a mistake going into the future. That's just part of life, and that's just part of your financial life. In investing, like in life, we all have certain biases towards how we invest, what we want to invest in. Some of those are personal. So let's say, for example, you come from a family where there was a big loss, or dad or mom always invested in real estate. Your bias might be towards those things. You may also have bias based on your experience. And somebody that's had a bad experience investing will be really reluctant to to make those choices or to go in a certain direction. You might also have biases based on information that you've heard, whether it's from friends or family. We can all think back to, whether it's a cocktail party or barbecue that we've been at, and somebody is sharing the story about how much money they made on XYZ stock. At the end of the day, I always say that you hear about the wins, but you never hear about the losses. And there's always wins and there's always losses. So again, that goes back to creating a really balanced portfolio, having great conversations to make sure that your investments are in line with your objectives. Investment isn't one size fits all. We all have biases, we all have different paths and things that impact our decisions, which is why it's really important that we work with a professional planning team to make sure that we stay the course, we stay on track, and that we don't let our biases shadow a really good decision. If you enjoyed what you heard and you learned something new, feel free to press like or subscribe to our channel so that you can continue to get great updates on financial planning. Click the link below if you'd like access to some of our free resources to help you in your financial planning journey. Make sure you reach out to your financial advisor or CPA to make sure you have the right A-team behind you to reach your business and